The dragon's cries tell a story. 200 years before Daenerys Targaryen, the Targaryen dynasty ruled Westeros with an iron fist. King Viserys lost his wife and only son, and in his grief named his daughter Rhaenyra heir to the Iron Throne and future queen of the Seven Kingdoms.
True.
But of course, not all in the realm were happy. Slowly but surely, the knives started appearing.
The knives are out.
People were jonesing for the throne, making plays. And will the House Targaryen continue to stand, or will it crumble under the weight of their own ambition? This is House of the Dragon, everyone. The mid-season finale. What is it right to call this the mid-season finale, or is this just like the halfway point?
Mid-season discussion.
Yeah, halfway point. Mid-season discussion. I am Ben Magnet. I am joined, of course, by my bros who are so into this fantasy shit, and I love them for it. Ryan Eliopoulos.
It's me. I'm here for the fantasy shit.
And Sparkz Whitty.
I'm definitely known for being obsessed with Westeros.
Westerosies.
I was trying to figure out a way how I can do this into how I can do like an Elden Ring style intro. And then as I kept going, I was like, oh no, I forgot something.
Your mistake, Ben, is you every time you want to improv one of these things, you always try to go a little too long.
Yeah.
You need to just find your endpoint.
And you know what? You completely missed. You had the loathsome crab eater.
I know. The loathsome crab feeder.
You could have had that one, yeah.
Yeah.
It was right there.
Oh, well.
It was.
Just like the crab feeder, he's dead and gone. We're here to talk about 4 beautiful episodes.
You want to know the names?
I would love to know the names of these episodes.
We're here to talk about episode 2, The Rogue Prince. Episode 3, Second of His Name. Episode 4, King of the Narrow Sea. And episode 5, We Light the Way.
Yes, and I assume we are not going to be doing episode by episode discussions. This is going to just be a big discussion of where the season leads up to before the big time jump happens. Because I at least wanted to talk about the show before the time jump happens. Because so much, 18 years of history has happened from episode 1 to 5, and I don't want to jump another 10 years before we talk about it. 18 years. So episode 1 started before, like when the kids are or whatever. I don't know.
I think it's like 6. I think we're about 6.
I'm saying like the kids are like 18 years old.
Oh,
so I'm saying from the beginning to now.
Yeah. I would say like maybe 6-7 years ish, give or take.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah. Maybe a little bit longer than that, but either way.
Let's start there. I think, unless you had a point you wanted to start with, Ben.
No, actually, I was going to just say right off the bat, because I know when we first started the show, some of us were a little we're not sketchy, but we were hopeful, but we were cautiously hopeful because the stain of the season finale or the series finale of Game of Thrones is still in our mouths. I would say, but even though we're halfway through the season so far, I am loving it. I'm like, Game of Thrones is back, baby. We're here. We got this. We got what we wanted.
It's not. I don't think it's certainly not perfect, but for being a first season of a show, and I look at Game of Thrones first season because the height of Game of Thrones is not season 1.
No. Nope.
And it's not episode, and season 1 is not the worst. I think season 1 is a perfectly good season of show. If I had to put them next to each other, I'm probably enjoying House of the Dragon on a whole more on season 1 because they already know what they're kind of doing. They got, they're setting up their own story, but a lot of the pre-established stuff is already there. So I'm mostly really, really enjoying it.
They're 2 different goals, really.
Yes.
I don't want to make this a whole conversation, but season 1 of Game of Thrones was like what made Game of Thrones is that book readers knew, but anyone else didn't, that Ned Stark was going to
that's
die.
The culmination.
You are endeared and tricked into following your protagonist character, Ned Stark.
Yes.
And then he's murdered. And that's kind of the goal of season 1 is to kind of pull the rug out from under you with that. If you don't read the books, House of the Dragon does not have a similar goal. It's very much doing a different thing. So I think that automatically makes those seasons just like they stand far apart. But I hear what you're saying.
I'm talking in terms of like quality.
No. In terms of quality, I hear you.
Like I was worried that like it would be like a first season slump, but like I feel like it's mostly hitting on.
I think
also.
what I was going to touch on, and I think we can actually go from here to there, is I want to talk about, I think, just the time jump nature of the show first, because this is not something we can talk about with episode 1. It is something we can talk about now.
Every episode is a time jump.
I think it serves our main characters pretty well. Pretty well overall. I think it's doing great service to them. We're able to like pick out these nuggets. A lot of growth has happened with them, and the lead characters are picking up really well. I think our side characters are suffering pretty extremely. It's very hard to keep a grasp of them. I think especially because like I'm struggling to keep track of who, like, what the importance of some people are in terms of like the story. Like we keep seeing them in the periphery, but when are they going to be relatable? When are they going to be somebody that I actually understand their involvement in the episode, especially in the series, especially when like they'll be gone for an entire episode and then back in the periphery again. And I'm struggling with that. I think Game of Thrones, where Game of Thrones was better in its first season, was establishing a wide ensemble, both in small and major players. Yeah, I get that. This one, the small players, I think, are suffering purely from the format of the time jump. We are not spending time with them. It's one of those things we talked about when the episode dropped for episode 3, and we have the fight against the crab feeder at the end. That not really knowing Lenore hurt that finale. Yes,
him on the dragon.
Yes, not really having spent time with him before that hurt that finale a bit. And I think that's where I think that's the Achilles heel of the show. Not that it'll kill the show or doom the show. That is, in my opinion, the weakest part of the show is the side characters. Just not a good one. Like, I wouldn't know this if I don't listen to podcasts where they break down stuff in over 3-hour chunks about each episode of House of the Dragon. Shout out Ringerverse. But because they do, I know that Harwin is a character we've spent focal time with twice now. He's in the episode where Rhaenyra comes back after killing the boar, and he's leering at her. Kind of, he's the one guy who's like looking at her and kind of attracted to her, but he's like in a crowd. And then he's the one who catches her when she's out running around as a page boy.
And then he's also the guy who picks her up in the
and like
Heron Strong.
If I wasn't listening to a podcast, I wouldn't have put 2 and 2 together.
That's fair. That is fair.
And that's like the kind of thing that the time jump stuff is not serving us right now.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. It's not as, what's the right word? It's not as, like, I am I guess more forgiving of it because the nature of the show they're trying to tell. But I do agree with you. Like we are laser focused on the show as like, like people who love genre and try to like, if you're a casual person, like these year time jumps, like kids are growing up so fast. And if you blink, like, is this the same character? I'm not sure. I know it's the same character because again, I am ingrained in it. But if you're a regular person, I can absolutely see, is this, like Rhaenyra is the same character, but this person looks different. Like, are they the same? Like, I understand that problem being there for sure.
And I think that it's caused an effect of the world feels a little smaller, and I do think that part of that is just not going to so many diverse locations all the time. That is part of Game of Thrones, but I mean like it also feels smaller in the sense of like important people. It feels like we have a much smaller amount of people who are actually, and that can very well be true.
I mean, it is House of the Dragon.
No, and that can very well be true. It's again like there's a feeling like there are some people who like I feel like I should be getting just a little bit more story with by now. I think Otto's brother is a good example.
Well, he just got introduced. So I guarantee he's going to be.
He was in episode 1.
I mean, yeah, but not a lot.
He was in episode 1 swearing an oath, and then he's at the feast, and he's the one who's running the feast, and he's the one who announces. He also before the feast announces Aegon II, which is the big thing. But that's the thing is like I'm just saying like that feels. I'm sure these things will come in time.
Yes.
Right now it feels like I want to know more about these characters just because once we leap years in advance, what machinations they've been pulling, I feel like are not evident or clear or immediately present. This is something where what I was going to say is things like Harwin will probably what will end up happening, but I don't think this benefits a wide general audience, is that when you've seen everything and you go back, you'll place these characters better and like understand how they were maneuvering their way to where they are important later. But a general audience will not necessarily do that.
I do think, I do think the nature of the show, it is one where, not that this is a mystery show, but like so much of the show is jumping so much forward in time. So like we do kind of have to like, it is like a wait and see kind of thing of like, will this pay off? Will this character's stopgap here show up in the future? Because there are characters who, again, like you mentioned, like some of the Hightowers, or like the 12-year-old who is now going to probably be in love with Daemon, Lyanna Velaryon. She got a massive glow up, and like if you're not paying attention, you might not know it's the same person.
Right.
Those Velaryon are pretty cool. Those are some cool cats.
Yeah. I mean, thankfully, especially with the Velaryon kids, their hair helps. Like seeing their hair being like the same color and the same style.
All those wigs.
Yeah, all those wigs. But yeah, I do agree. Some of the side characters do kind of suffer with these long time jumps. And even when we saw like certain, I forgot who it was after a big time jump. It's like, oh damn, that person got bigger, and oh, that's a different character. Like Sparkz, you said,
the Velaryon kids got like they are completely different actors. And if you like, if you aren't super paying attention, you may be like, is that a different kid? Is that a different character? Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, when in the episode where they actually do fight the crab feeder and they do defeat him, and Lenore is on his dragon, and I didn't know that was him. I was like, ooh, I thought that was Rhaenys for a hot second, actually.
Right. Yeah.
Like, did they change the color of that dragon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's part of the thing, is like that comes and goes a little too quickly.
Yeah, they didn't set that up.
Some of these side things. Another thing, like just talking about that battle in particular, Ryan and I talked about how like it's not clear. It doesn't feel clear in the context of the show when in relation to the end of the episode, the beginning of the episode is. How, like, we know they've been at this for about 3 years.
Yeah.
And it's not clear where in the context of the 3 years was Daemon coming in on them. And it also feels like
it's like they didn't spend 3 years battling at that cave.
No,
there's no way.
Right. And but because of the context of how you end the episode before, you feel like you are jumping in on like Daemon getting into the fight and everything. And like it kind of has that energy to it. But
I don't mind the time. Yeah, I don't mind the time jumps, but I do agree when you bring us into the new zone, you have to like reassess where everyone is, who everyone is. Like you can't just expect people to like you'll figure it out.
Well, I think that's the hardest one to get on board with the time jump quickly is the start of episode 3, because you have no context clues.
Yeah,
part of the problem is the beach is the same beach that the crab feeder was on the last time you saw him.
Yeah.
So when you see him at the end of episode 2. And you go to at the beginning of episode 3, it feels like Daemon just does that the next week.
Yeah.
You do not have a 3-year context.
You got baby Aegon.
That's after.
That's after, yeah.
Right, yeah, because the opening of the episode is Daemon attacking. And that's the thing that leaves you kind of like, oh, what? Wait, when did that happen?
Yeah.
And the way that they finish that fight feels a little like nobody thought of just burning the archers with dragons before this moment.
Yeah.
All right, 3-year war.
Yeah. I do I don't want to steal the term coin flip. Reverse to reverse that. I think the show is shot incredibly well.
Mm-hmm.
Again, having Michael Sapochnik and Ryan Collins, like the team from Game of Thrones coming back, like the best of the best to come run the show, and like I think the show looks incredible. And even though that battle, like the logistics of it are weird, I think it looks incredible.
Yes.
And Matt Smith doing his thing, not speaking for a whole episode. The crab feeder is such an interesting design, and I really admire that they're able to like create this force, and he's not the villain of the entire show. He's almost like an afterthought, because that's what he is in the book. He's a single line sentence.
Yeah.
And I like that they're able to create this threat and like, this is what we're dealing with now. Don't think about it too hard. Because I know some people are like, oh, that guy's dead already? I thought he was like the guy. And I'm like, nah, it's the House of the Dragon.
I swear it's my last negative I'm going to bring up.
No, we're here for it.
The grayscale on the crab feeder does feel like a misstep.
I just watched an interview with Olivia Cook.
Okay.
Viserys has leprosy. Leprosy is extremely contagious.
Yeah.
Nobody else has leprosy. That's a little oversight that I'm like, I thought it was just a fantasy thing. They didn't have to.
I know, like
they didn't have to say what it was, but they said it off screen.
Like after his death, he's known as the king who died from 1,000 cuts.
Yeah.
Like and like the implication is like on some level the throne was killing him.
Yes.
Yeah. But like to just take it to leprosy is like
what's it called? What's it called when like when you get cut and you bleed real easily? Like hemophiliac. I just thought honestly he was like a hemophiliac. So like every time he got cut, it just got worse and worse. But like he has old school leprosy, but not really, because that would kill everyone he touches, including his wife, who he's boned many times,
and his children.
Yeah. And his children. So that's one of the things where I'm like, oh, you didn't have to say that in the behind the scenes stuff. It doesn't.
But fortunately, they don't say it in the show. But what they do in the show is they do show that the crab feeder has grayscale.
Yes.
And the problem with that for me is that that's also incredibly contagious. But Daemon comes out of that cave covered in his blood and holding his hand.
Yeah.
Daemon doesn't
half his body.
Yeah. Daemon doesn't get grayscale.
Yeah.
Okay. To me, that felt a little like, because that's not something from the book. They made the decision to give him grayscale to like add context to him visually striking for this show. It felt like a forward-thinking Easter egg for Game of Thrones that didn't play in context of the lore.
Yeah.
And the other thing for me is like, if you're really looking at it, if you're really looking at the world lore, like grayscale is based in Valerian. That's where that's where the stone men are.
Yep.
Targaryens would have a aversion to seeing grayscale. So the fact that like it causes zero hesitation in Daemon and nobody really touches on it is a little like, oh,
that's another a little oversight, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think our lead princess and queen, Rhaenyra, and oh my gosh, what's her name? The queen, Alicent. Queen Alicent. I think they're incredible. They are so good, and I'm almost really sad that we're getting different actresses for the time jump. Yeah. But like they are also equally good. But like I just didn't know I would fall in love with these characters like this hard. Especially Alicent in episode 5. When Sir Criston Cole reveals the truth, and like she goes through so many emotions of like what no lies, like such incredible acting from everybody in the show, but specifically like from somebody I'm not familiar with, like Alicent is like they're killing it.
Yeah,
like she's like Alicent's standing there when Criston Cole is telling her everything that he was the one who slept with Rhaenyra, and she is like, oh thank God, what's the name? Oh wait, she lied. Oh. All the emotions.
Yeah, because like she swore an oath, like nothing happened to me, nobody touched me. Yeah, and like partially true on her mom. That's the thing that got me. I was like, oh, Rhaenyra, you took it too far there.
Yeah, she did.
That's a medieval curse right there.
That
and
is.
Like I know on the Ringerverse they pointed out, they're like, why'd she even like? She could have just like white lied her way out of it and said like Daemon and I didn't do the deed, which would have been true.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have alluded to what really did happen, but it would have left her in her noble faith.
Nah, she needed to make it true. She needed to make it believe.
Yeah.
I love Alicent. I think Alicent is very good. I think they do a very good job of like telling this very sad story about her being trapped in this web of Otto's creation and losing her best friend / girl she kind of loved
100%.
To be with the king. There's I really like notably these are the first sex scenes filmed by a woman in Westeros history, and I think that they're far more based on showing character rather than just carnal act.
Yes.
And so like the focus shot on Alicent from above with Viserys's back is like
his gooey back.
That's a pretty powerful image.
It was really impressive that like that episode of Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon had like one of the most sensual sex scenes I've ever seen between Criston and Rhaenyra, where he is so ashamed of what he's doing, but he's like so in love that he can't help it.
And it's cutting between the two.
Yeah, and it's incredible. And then the disgusting, like her just like, this is what I gotta do for the kingdom. And I'm like, wow, like both extremes, and they're both like shot on like, if a man were shooting that scene, it would be really gross probably. But I was like, it was really like a really sensual scene. Like Criston, like it's so funny how 180 the show goes on Criston Cole. Like he has sex once and he turns into like the biggest.
He's construct.
You said it. Like he turns into the biggest whip boy, and I'm like, wow, man, maybe you should have stayed chaste. Maybe you should have stayed a virgin.
Keep that chastity belt on you, buddy. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Because then when like that whole episode where Rhaenyra sneaks out with Daemon, and he takes her to the brothel, and it's like, oh, there's like he's like, dude, you can like do whatever you want. And then at first I'm like, no, don't do it. But you can tell she's like, I don't care anymore. She is done with all of this shit. And then when Daemon like backs out at the literal last second, she's like, you know what? Nah, I'm still going to have fun tonight. I like this guy over here. I've had a little crush on this guy ever since I met him. So you know what? F it. I'm gonna have a good time.
In horny mode when she went back home, she's like, "Oh, I gotta do something about this."
So she is very much in a horny mode.
Yeah. We're deep enough in the show now where we can certainly gather the evidence to say that Daemon has an impotency problem.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The only sex scene we ever see him in, he can't finish. He can't perform.
Yep.
It's alluded to by his now late wife. It's present in his scene with Rhaenyra. Other people have made other side jokes. It explains a lot of his
why he can't have kids, maybe
his performance as a person, like what he's trying to compensate for. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah. Man, Lady Rhea. Like hearing like episodes of like up until now of like how horrible this woman is, like why he can never marry her, and then like she turns out she looks like a cool Arya type person who's like really badass, and I'm like, oh, she's better than him. That's why he can't handle it, because she's so much cooler and nicer and cool and like stronger.
Like the whole show, they're deeming her. I felt bad because when they're talking about Daemon's lady wife up in the Vale, it feels like they're describing some sort of hag in a way, or
yeah.
And I feel, and then of course I see her, and she's like, "Husband," I'm like, "That?
Oh, yeah.
What are you talking about? She's hot.
She's
really cool."
It's the fun thing because Daemon's like, "Yeah, she's the worst person on the planet. Like, I have nothing in common with this woman."
Well, and he says she's ugly,
and
he
she's
says
ugly.
that flat out in the first episode, which we know now, which is really what he's covering for, is the fact that he was unable to consummate their marriage.
Yep.
Because she tells him that, and she says, "I knew you could never finish," even as she's laying on the ground, paralyzed by a horse.
And again, it's fun because going from the book, it says like, yeah, the Lady Rhea, she was crushed by a horse, and her head hit a rock, and like it's kind of vague. Like that seems a little weird how a horse would break her skull or whatever, but like, nah, yeah, Daemon killed her. Yeah,
so it's so interesting because the book is based in unreliable narration, and we're getting technically by seeing the show, we are getting what is the true accounts, in a way, of a lot of things, but there's still like vagueness left to the mystery of the idea. Like, in fairness, Daemon didn't necessarily do anything too aggressive that made the horse behave that way. Like that was kind of a freak accident that he was able to take advantage of.
Yeah.
And specifically, I'm not saying he didn't do it. What I am saying is I still think it's interesting that they choose not to let us see it.
Every major thing that's ever happened in Daemon's life has not been on screen.
Yeah.
And that's super fascinating.
Yeah, we don't see him kill, and
we don't see him kill the crab eater. The crab feeder.
He comes back out. We don't see him say "air for a day," which I think is like one of the best. And now that we have episode 4, we know that when he's challenged about the Rhaenyra stuff, he just rolls over and says, "Yep, what are you gonna do?" But it didn't happen.
Yeah,
it didn't happen. He did not, deflower her for maidenhood.
Yeah.
So this adds credence to the idea that he probably didn't say the "air for a day" thing.
Yeah.
He just let Viserys believe that about him.
He does whatever.
I'll share it with Ben because I know you know it. Yeah. Someone caught online and shared it with the Ringiverse that the rhyming couplet that he sang when he's there toasting to Balon is the gods will give and the gods will take away to the king's second-born son, and then it cuts away. And if you finish the couplet, it would finish and say "air for a day." That would work. However, the sentence he says to Viserys is, "We all mourn in our own way," which also finishes that rhyming couplet.
Which makes it like a whole poem.
Which makes it seem like that's probably what he actually said at the end of the toast.
Yeah. Daemon, God, Matt Smith is doing such a good job of making him like, he's obviously a bad dude.
But he loves his brother.
But he's 100% for family, 100% for the Targaryens. He will do whatever he wants to marry his niece. Like, one, because he wants to, but also it'll propel the throne even higher.
Right.
Like it's always about ambition. Even if it's not exactly for his own, like it's for the Targaryens. And I'm like, you are such a complicated man. You're awesome.
He's not just a bad guy. I'm endeared to like him more than I like Otto, because like it doesn't feel like he's driven by power directly. He's driven by family. Like the power of the family.
Yeah, Otto's driven by pursuit. Like Daemon's driven by like love.
Yeah.
Whether that he also goes for the throne still. Yeah.
Otto. Every time Otto was talking and giving advice to the king, I'm just sitting there trying I still can't get a read on this guy. I still feel like this dude, there's something about this dude. And you're right, because when he says heir for the day, or when he goes to the king and talks about how Daemon and Rhaenyra were about to do the deed. Yeah, coupling. It's all like you're doing this. You're having like you're playing this game, because like when he's like this, the first time he tells Alicent to go comfort the king, I'm like, no. And then the end of the second episode, he says, "Hey, I'm going to marry the lady Alicent." I'm like, no.
I don't know. I don't think Otto could have known he was going to marry Alicent, but it was like a 1% chance. It was like 1% chance of like this is how I do it, and it worked.
Yeah.
Oh, you slimy devil.
Yeah, that was his play, because he just wants Aegon to be the king, because he is like, hey, I want someone of my blood on that throne, and just because it's like, hey, I can't have Rhaenyra as queen because she's gonna cause a war, and I don't want that. Even
no, she's too hard to control.
Yeah. Also, she's too hard to control. So, oh man, this is. I was talking to Fanny last night when I was watching the episode, or the latest episode. I was like, this is what I missed from Game of Thrones. Was like the scheming, the scheming, the alliances, the secret deals, the deals upon the deals when the knives come out. It's like, man, I miss this from like seasons 2 and 3 of Thrones. I miss this stuff.
I love a good like political masquerade and like a political wedding that goes bad, and like underhanded deals and like secret treaties. I love it. Like one of my favorite scenes, and it's just like almost like nothing scene of just like people talking when Viserys goes to Driftmark to propose the wedding between Laenor.
Yeah,
Laenor,
Laenor
and Rhaenyra. And it's like, cool. What are the terms? What is succession? What's this? Blah blah blah. And I'm like, this is just people acting, and it's really fun.
And he's like, okay, yeah, can take your name.
They'll be Valyrians
until their kids take the crown, and the throne, because then they have to be a Targaryen because of the prophecy.
Yes, because they
must be a Targaryen.
I'm not gonna tell you why, but they have to be Targaryens.
Yeah.
I'm so fascinated. Like I almost want to read House of the Blood or House of Dragons, Fire and Blood, whatever it's called, for Lady Rhaenys, the queen who never was. She's so fun, and she's like, I had a chance to be queen. They didn't want me. I'm not even mad about it anymore. I'm so fascinated by someone who's like that. Like she is like anti Game of Thrones. Yeah. She's like, I just want my kids to be happy, baby. And I'm like, girl, this is not going to end well for any of y'all. No way.
Yeah, and she straight up warned Corlys that we're putting our son in danger. You know his true natures. Things are going to go bad. Look what happens. And I kind of want to start calling this the Green Wedding, even though it really wasn't a wedding. But
no, people got married at the end.
Yeah, they got married. But
the saddest wedding when he's like wiping blood off his nose.
Wiping the blood of his lover off of his nose is messed up.
Yeah, dude. Kristen Cole, totally whipped. Honor. Once that honor was gone,
the moment that guy came up and told him, I'm like, you told the wrong guy. This man is all about honor.
He messed up. Poor Joffrey, lawn mouth. Man, let me see. Who else we got? Who have we not talked about a lot yet?
The MVP, I think, of the entire show, which is, at least up to this point, Paddy Considine.
Oh yeah, Viserys.
Who's playing Viserys? God. I think he's giving truly some of the best performances as the absolute weakest king ever.
Will I be remembered as a good king?
Because he's so clearly like everything about him is defined by inaction. He even reveals that like he suspected and worried about Otto's position for a while, but he didn't do anything about it until Rhaenyra made him.
Yeah.
He doesn't do anything until people make him. Why did Daemon, who was just banished, get to walk into that wedding? Because he knew Viserys wasn't going to do anything.
Yeah. He even got a chair just in case, right?
Viserys takes no action. Viserys he fears it, and he fears that he has failed because he never was like, you can be two great things as a Targaryen, a dreamer or a dragon rider. And as a dragon rider, his dragon died.
Yeah.
And so he's obsessed with being a dreamer.
It's so, again, that conversation where he's talking to Lionel Lannister, who also rules, like just a guy who's able to like, I love you, my lord. Here's the truth. Like I like that guy too. But that scene where he's like, like maybe if I was put into the crucible, I would have been a better man. And he's like, maybe, those people die though. So maybe it's best that you live. You were a peaceful king I think personally, maybe it's better to have, a kingdom of peace than to live in war. He's like, yeah, but that's so boring.
Well, Lionel, to be fair, like Lionel acknowledges like what his question is really saying, because like he asks like, will I be remembered as a great king?
Yeah.
He's like, some will say that a time of peace is great.
Yeah.
Some will say, but he's acknowledging in the absence of what he says.
Yeah.
Some will say no, because
I won't have a song.
You did nothing great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That's truly the thing. Is Viserys did nothing great.
He's a lame duck king.
He did. He's a president we don't remember the name of. Like that's his status. It's like no important thing happened under his rule.
He gave birth to what is going to be the history.
Right. Yes. but he himself took no great action of any kind, especially for like Westeros as a whole.
He did build a pretty nice replica of old Valyria, though. I will give him that.
That's real nice.
Very nice. Won't be remembered for it, though.
They probably destroyed it. It's not going to be kept in a museum or anything.
Going on his performance, because you can tell. I also love how his health is just constantly deteriorating as we see him. Like he's constantly missing fingers. He's constantly trying to like when he goes to Driftmark in episode 5 and he's constantly coughing and he's sick all the time. I mean, yeah, that could be because he's seasick, but also because the dude's dying. Like slowly but surely.
Yeah.
He's screwed. That man is screwed with a capital S.
I'm surprised, like
he's gonna make it another decade.
Like for real, like I don't know if you watched the next.
Oh no, I did.
That dude is like definitely dying soon, right? He looks
like definitely imply with like the ending of the episode that and then Viserys died.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa,
he's looking like the Crypt Keeper over here.
No, they're gonna keep him propped up for as long as possible.
No, once I saw him in the next episode preview for the time jump, I'm like, how the hell are you still alive? You should have been dead a long time ago. I actually thought when he was laying there, he was talking to his new hand, Lionel. That's his name, right? Sir Lionel?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. When he was lying there talking to Lionel, I thought, and it like goes up to him and his breathing starts to slow and the clouds move. I'm like, oh shit, is this when happens? Is this when he dies? Is this it? And it's like, oh no, he's at the feast and he seems okay, but it's like, I really thought he was going to die there.
No, I definitely think like the Maesters, everybody in their powers will keep him alive as long as they can to keep Rhaenyra from being queen, because that's when shit's really going to hit the fan.
Yeah,
that's as soon as she sits on that throne. Again, the knives are coming out. People are coming for that throne. So Viserys has to stay alive, even if he's like a zombie, man.
Right, like it's weird. It shows his weakness that Viserys is convinced that even upon his death, people will honor Rhaenyra becoming the queen.
Yeah,
like that will just happen. It's naive in its own way.
Yeah,
he's taking no further action to ensure it.
I still respect. I still love that he is willing to give her the throne. Like I think that's great. Like, he's a great dad. He's a bad king.
It's great. It's great when he says like, "I swear, you will not be supplanted. I'm not replacing you as heir."
Yeah,
but like that's him. The kingdom will challenge it.
Yeah,
and the fact that he's not forward thinking enough to see that or take action for it, at least up to this point.
And then the alliance with Driftmark. So like they have all the dragons. They have the navy. So like really like you are stupid to challenge the throne. You really are. But then once Old Town gets involved, Daemon gets involved, like half the Seven Kingdoms get divided real quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also one quick thing. It's a quick little line. But I love when he's talking to Lord Corlys about this line of succession. And he explicitly says their firstborn child, regardless of gender, they're going to be the next king or queen.
That's
Don't care what they are. That's them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, what a progressive thinking king. I kind of like, other stuff, he's a kind of bad king, but you're right. He is a good dad. And he's really trying to be like, no, I'm going to make it so that no matter who they are, firstborn kid, they're the heir. Doesn't matter.
Unfortunately, old school Westerosi peeps don't agree.
Yeah.
Nope, they do not.
I think up to this point, I have to say, like, probably my favorite episode might be the feast one.
Is that this one? The fifth one?
Nope. The hunt. The feast with the hunt, where he's trying to kill the white stag, the king of the Kingswood, and Rhaenyra.
3?
That's 3.
Yeah.
And Rhaenyra gets separated and kills a boar.
That's right. That's
stuff. Right. The reason is because I think that's a great Viserys episode. And like honestly, like Rhaenyra is very focal and central to what the story we've been given up to this point. But for me, like I'm very much like tracking Viserys right now. Again, I think he's the MVP of the show. But part of the reason is I think that they do so well. It's what I needed the show to do with the character is him recognizing the transparencies of the others around him, and trying to like. It's where he acknowledges that Otto's full of shit when Otto suggests putting Rhaenyra with Alicent's son.
Oh yeah,
who just turned 2 years old.
Jesus.
And when he does that, like. He looks at him for a while and then laughs, and he's like, "Holy shit, Otto, you overstretched your..." Like that's the moment where Otto like lost it.
Come on, bro.
Otto went too far transparent, and I'm so glad that they let him be that way. And I really like that it comes around to Sir Lionel, who we've talked about coming up, and he's like, "So what would your recommendation be? Your son or something?" He's like, "My recommendation is the same one it was years ago. That you need to reunite House Valerion and your house. Now you can do it through a different marriage."
Lionel's a good dude.
It is still that. That is the strongest thing to do for the kingdom. And I'm so glad that Viserys respected that enough. He was the one who took over for Otto.
Yeah.
It should have happened that day.
Yeah.
That's when Viserys should have taken action.
And Lionel knows the Lannisters. Who's the Lannister who would be? It would be Jason. We met Jason. Screw that guy.
Yeah.
That guy's a Lannister 100%. No, thank you. Lionel, I don't know how you got involved with them. You're a pretty good dude. Unless you're sneaky. Please don't be sneaky.
He's like Cersei and Tywin in one person.
God, he's got that smile. I'm like, I want to punch him in the face.
Yeah.
He's got that Lannister air where he's like, "Oh, I'm a big deal because I'm a Lannister." It's like, I want to punch you so hard.
I love that Viserys and Rhaenyra were like, did not give a shit that he was there. Like, we love your company, Jason. Thrilled you're here. Rolling her eyes in the back of her head. Yeah, love it.
Like when he's trying to woo Rhaenyra at the hunt, and she's just like not having it.
I just love Rhaenyra's like I'm not a doll to be tossed to any king who can buy me. Like I really the Viserys Rhaenyra relationship is so strong, and despite it being her political headaches and all, like that relationship is really strong.
That's a good line too. You are my political headache.
Yeah.
I do have another negative. I'd forgotten it until this moment.
Bring it, baby.
We need to talk about it.
Bring it.
The worst accent on television I've ever
heard. Ben, if we had to say who has a really weird, crazy accent in the show, there's only one person we can speak of. Do you know who we're talking about?
I think I do, but I need to hear a name.
I don't remember. I think Masseria. It's Damon's brothel lady with the Canadian.
Oh God, yeah.
Could it be an accent?
It's an accent that like it's not the actor's accent. So I want to be clear about that because it is not. She's British. This is not it. This is the worst accent I've ever heard put to screen. I cannot understand it.
It's like French, Jamaican.
I have to strain to track it. Terrible choice. Someone should have stopped this from happening.
I am really glad I watched the episodes with her with subtitles on because
I always watch the subtitles, but yeah, they're doing the same thing that I forget her name, but it was Tyrion's lady had a similar type of accent in Game of Thrones.
Shay.
But it was not Shay, thank you. But it was not as severe, or if it was, at least
no, it was not even a little.
Yeah.
Like they really wanted her to feel like she came from somewhere else, and I'm like, that's cool, but like I gotta feel like it's real, and I gotta feel like I can understand her.
Because I liked what that lady was doing, and like okay, so like you were trying to make me like the queen of something, and now I'm not. Now I'm my own proprietor of business. Like I like that idea and stuff, but like
she's the white one.
Yeah, the white one. There you go. Yeah, she's the
person who has the child informed to Otto.
She's like the informant.
She's running that.
I like that idea, but like the accent drives me nuts. I agree.
Yeah, I can't do it. I think her role is cool. She's in this story apparently a lot going forward, which is unfortunate because of the accent thing. I have nothing against the actor.
Maybe they'll get a new actor.
I have nothing against the actor whatsoever.
Yeah.
I think she's rather talented outside of this. And the story beats of like, Daemon lying about her being pregnant and putting a target on her back.
Oh, yeah.
Making her leave. I think all that is really good plot stuff. It's just I can't possibly deal with her when she's talking. Strong opinions about that one for sure.
I love seeing dragons. A bunch of different types of dragons. Despite not knowing who Velo or Sea Smoke were, it was really cool to see like, oh, there's like a cool looking like sea dragon. I like them. I like the idea. Like again, like I just love Game of Thrones. Like everyone has like their own houses and stuff, but like being like the seahorse, like you are the Navy man. You got like a dragon that's like a water dragon, almost like this. The Valerians are so cool. Yeah. It's a real shame that I don't think their line lasts very long.
No,
just going from the history books, but
just going forward, it's like House Valerian. It's like, how come I've never heard of House Valerian in Game of Thrones? Game of Thrones, it's like, ooh, they're probably gonna die out. Oh no!
It's the fun thing of me like not wanting to read the book before the show's over because I don't want to spoil myself, but also like I'm so interested in like the quote unquote like real history of like what the show does differently. So like I don't want to spoil myself for fake history, but I'm so interested in looking it up.
I mean that is kind of the fun thing again about Fire and Blood is because so much of Fire and Blood is unreliable. And like I do eventually Viserys will die.
Yes.
And there are like 4 different accounts of who could have killed him in the book.
Ooh.
So it's interesting. I'm wondering if the show will actually give an answer or if that's one of those where they're going to leave it in the same way of Daemon's heir for a day.
I was going to say watch Daemon somehow be involved.
You don't know.
Yeah.
And I kind of hope it's the latter. I kind of hope that they maintain like some amount, even though they are giving us clearer answers than the book did about things like Daemon killing his ex-wife.
Yeah.
His dead wife.
Lady wife.
I hope that they leave some things still. I'm not so sure about that, or that's not quite clear, or unreliable, or that kind of thing.
We see some flirtation between the young Lady Valerian and Daemon. And judging from the teaser for the next episode, they're hitching up. He's gonna be the leader of Runestone because he inherits everything from his lady wife, which is a terrible way of doing succession back then, y'all. Like, you get married, immediately kill him, it's all yours. That should be better than that. It should be better than that.
I mean, that's what we do today. It's just we have investigators.
That's
things like that, and they don't have that in
Westeros.
That just is what happens.
We need the Westeros FBI as well. Yeah,
because you know, if you do that today, same deal.
Nah, that's a good point. That's a very good point. You just get away with it.
Yeah. And also when her cousin comes up to him, was it Sir Gal? Shit, what was his name? I just watched his last night. You know, yeah, well, the Lord of Runestone goes up to him and says, "I'm making an accusation." I was like, "We gotta see a fight? We gotta throw down right here, right now?"
And he's like, "You want to do that here in King's Landing?"
Yeah,
that's not gonna go so good for you, bro.
I love that. Like Viserys and Lionel are just watching. Lionel's just in the back, like just drinking. Like, I don't want to be here right now. This is
He's like, "This is so awkward."
God. Oh, speaking of awkward, Daemon dragging Rhaenyra and speaking to her in High Valyrian, like, yo, what if you don't want this? Let's just get married. Let's get out of here. And she's like, oh yeah, Daemon, you're gonna kill everyone? You want to kill the king, kill all the Kingsguard, drag me to Runestone, marry me? Is that what you're gonna do, big boy? And I'm like, damn, Rhaenyra, you're so fire. You're so spicy.
Whoa.
So Rhaenyra is with Daemon like that. Rhaenyra, it's unfortunate the position Rhaenyra's in, but she's also pretty stupid.
Mm-hmm.
She makes a lot of bad choices. The way, like, it's totally fair. Alicent should have at least mentioned that she was doing nightly visits to the king at some point, but she didn't.
Yeah.
So, like, Rhaenyra being mad at Alicent for that blindsiding her totally tracks, makes sense. But afterwards, like, Rhaenyra just makes bad moves, constantly just making bad choices, bad moves. Obviously, the ultimate culmination being the night with Daemon that leads to the night with Kristen Cole. I'm like, hard for me to champion what you're trying to do here, Rhaenyra. It's not working.
And like, if we leave it at that night, where like she has an impassioned thing with Kristen Cole or whatever, but then she's like, what if you become my whore? And I was like, oh, Rhaenyra, like, you're not like, you're taking this queen thing, like, you're going the bad way about it. Like,
so there's a key reason, like, I don't root for Rhaenyra, I guess. And it happens in that night. And it's because when they're going through the town and everything, and they've seen the play, mocking the Targaryens,
she says something.
Daemon says, you need to care what the people think of you when you're in charge. Yep. And she says, no, I don't. And I'm like,
she says something about like they're the subjects, like it doesn't matter what they think.
It doesn't matter.
Like, I thought you were the good one.
No, Rhaenyra's not the good one.
Yeah, I got a bad feeling about old Rhaenyra.
not a good person. And it's unfortunate because like there's a lot. I think there's a Ringerverse laid it out very well, which is that there's this sadness for Alicent and Rhaenyra because Alicent and Rhaenyra both lost their moms young, and their moms are not there to like they are surrounded by men and men in power who are guiding them through the scenario where Alicent needs to be a queen and needs to give birth, and that's basically what her existence is for now. Yeah. And Rhaenyra has to be wedded off, and those are the things that they like. No one is guiding them through the scenario of being a mom.
Yeah,
and it's fair for Rhaenyra to fear it after what it did to her mom and looking at Alicent and what it's doing to her.
They have that beautiful conversation on the bench.
Yeah. And so this, it's so sad for these two ladies. There is this sense, and I think they did it very well, just going back to the first episode where we talked about their relationship with each other, of showing that the forces of the patriarchy, the forces of essentially this male power dominating around them and forcing them to play their roles has pitted them against each other, even though realistically they should not be against each other.
Yeah. They should be sticking together through all of this.
Right.
But
and being
political machinations. Yeah.
Yeah. It's sad. It's just sad to watch.
Yeah. And again, just judging from the few seconds that we see of the 10-year time jump, it doesn't look like everyone's happy, which is a bummer. I guess everything just gets worse as it gets older. That's a big old bummer.
Yep, things just get worse. And even then with Chris and Cole, because at first I thought, like when Rhaenyra and Laenor come to an understanding about who they love, I'm like, that's actually pretty fortunate for the both of them. It's like, hey, they're both in on it. It's like it's a win-win. It's like, hey, she's like, hey, we'll do our duty to our parents, we'll make them happy, and then we can still do our own things. I'm not mad about it. And
the problem is 1/4 of that party is Mr. Honor Man, and he's not about secret deals and he was, dude, like he thought about this all night. He's like, oh my god, I'm gonna marry the queen. We're gonna run away together, and like I'm gonna make her breakfast in our Airbnb. Like he had this whole plan, thinking it was gonna work, and then it all went to shit. And then it's like, no, now my rest of my life, I'm going to be the queen's whore. I'm going to be the queen's second bill. That's not the life he envisioned. So he goes to kill himself. And then Alicent's like, wait a minute.
Well, first he kills the boyfriend of Lenore's boyfriend, which he comes up to him. It's like, hey, I know you have a thing for her. Don't worry. Your secret's safe from me because I also have a thing for the future king. So I'm thinking it's like, this is like a perfect like secret keepers things. Like they all know, they're all in on it. They all have each other's backs. This is perfect. And then he has to go punch him in and kill him. He has to beat him dead.
Kristen is not a man of secrets. Secrets aren't fun. Secrets hurt everyone. That's what he was taught in the Kingsguard chastity school.
Yep.
Yeah, apparently so.
Well, and no one of his family has ever climbed to such a high status. Yeah. And he feels like he has ruined it to become a whore. And that feels terrible to him.
True.
I want to spotlight, free to jump in and add anything as well, but there are a couple of moments I want to spotlight. I'll work backwards a little bit. This last episode, the relationship on display, this was the first time we really got like an intimate scene between Corlys and Rhaenys. I really like them together.
Oh yeah.
I think both those actors are good. I wish we had more time with them. This is another one where the time jumps, I think, are hurting our characters a bit. I don't know how much longer those two are in the story.
Yeah.
But they're both tremendous in their performances when they get to. And the fact that they haven't had a lot of scenes where they get to really do that together bums me out a little bit. And the time jump is hurting us a little bit in that sense. Like there's a whole, I could have spent a whole episode with them at Driftmark.
Yeah, I love, I said it earlier, I love the Driftmark. It's a cool looking location too. Like it's a very different, it's like the wood inside is very different than what like King's Landing looks like.
I mean, they stick with the ocean theme, but at the same time, it makes sense because he's the king. He's the head of the Royal Navy. He has all the ships.
The Ocean Master.
Right.
And it also makes sense that he's the king. He's the Lord of Driftmark because it's like his throne is made of driftwood.
Right. I also really, really enjoy the scene where Viserys defends Rhaenyra against Jason Lannister. Where he like tears into him the whole like, would you not take more dragons if they were offered to you? Do you have dragons to offer? Just like totally trashes him.
Yeah, Jason sucks, and I'm glad everyone knows it.
And he's still like, thank you for the spear gift. GTFO.
Yeah, get out.
I think it's a really well done scene, regardless of like how it sours in their relationship later. When Rhaenyra tells Viserys that she understands that he's going to have to take a wife. This is episode 2. Understands that he's going to have to fulfill his duties as king, and she's like, "I understand fulfilling your duties to the realm. Like, I get it." But like in her mind, she's thinking of Lyanna, not her best friend. Slash.
And then they have a second conversation of that, of like when he's like, "You have to marry someone, and it's going to be who I tell you." It's like, "Oh, just like you did, King. You chose who you wanted to marry." And he's like, "Damn, you got me. You got me."
Also going back to episode 2, I really like the way Daemon uses old Targaryen traditions to weaponize his decisions. He's like, I can take a second wife. It's Targaryen tradition here. If I go to Dragonstone and I do it here, look what I'm doing. I'm doing it the old way. I think that's really cool.
The old ways are bad, but incest is totally fine still. Targaryens. Totally
they have the rule of exception, according to the church.
Take me to church.
Yeah.
They are the only ones who are allowed, just Targaryens.
Of course, because they're
the rule of exception.
Because they're the gods. They're the god people. They're elves. They're evil elves.
Yeah, you gotta have more dragon riders.
It's true. Dude, oh my god, I can't wait. Because like I already know, like again, from judging from next episode, see Daemon. I keep forgetting her name. The young Valerian that he made, Lyanna. She's riding a dragon too, and I'm like, oh. Dragon riders.
We do see her riding one for just a moment, but it's like in a wide shot, so you don't get a good look at it. But when they come for the wedding, Lenore and Lyanna are on their dragon.
Oh, okay.
Flying with the Navy to King's Landing.
I guess I missed them on there. Gotcha.
It's a wide shot. Like they do not show you their faces closely, but we know that one is Smoke, who we've seen before, and the other is Lyanna's.
Hell yeah! Awesome. I'm just excited for more dragons, though.
More dragons, and with the time jump, we're gonna see more dragons because we're gonna see Aegon get his dragon.
Oh my god, we're about to get like 6 new kids introduced into this show.
I know.
And like I'm pretty sure half of them are going to be like the worst people we've ever met.
Oh yeah, probably.
Man, I just that small like single shot glimpse of Aegon, he looks like a little shit.
Oh yeah. There's a clip resurfaced online of because this episode came out and then like the tease for the next episode. Okay, here comes Aegon Targaryen. Then there's a quote from a Game of Thrones episode where Tywin is talking about Aegon and everything he's ever done. And he's talking to Arya, and I'm like, oh my god, we're about to get into some real bad shit soon. Oh man, he's a bad boy.
This isn't the Mad King Aegon Targaryen, is it?
Not that. No, he's like, no, he's way closer to Game of Thrones time. But this is the first bad Aegon Targaryen.
Second of his name.
First bad Aegon. Second of his name.
Why is it every time a Targaryen is named Aegon, they become a piece of shit?
Because Aegon is the one.
Outside of Aegon, I guess you could argue Aegon the Conqueror was a piece of shit because he came in and just conquered everything. And it's like, hey, bend the knee or else. Yeah. I got a big ass dragon. I can torture your shit. And now it's like every other Aegon Targaryen.
It's just, hey man, you're gonna be an Eggie.
What was Jon Snow's real name? Was that also Aegon Targaryen?
I think he is an Aegon Targaryen as well. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, look it up. He's definitely Aegon.
Because then Jon Snow is the one exception of being a not shitty person.
It's because he doesn't have blonde hair. That's what it is.
Shit.
Yep, Aegon Targaryen.
He's an Aegon, yeah. Eggie. God. Oh yeah, how are we feeling? This could be my final summation. How are we feeling about the Game of Thrones prequel or stuff being added into this? The Song of Ice and Fire stuff, the dagger stuff. Are we? The more we do it, the more I'm okay with it. I don't think they're doing it in a bad way. That's like, hey, Game of Thrones. But it is an interesting aspect of like making the Targaryens have more purpose than they used to have, because like they are the people in charge of the legacy. You know what I mean? At
first, I thought, to be perfectly honest, when he name dropped the Song of Ice and Fire, I'm like, oh, okay. I felt like it was a bit of a ham-fisted way of putting like the main thing. But then the more I thought about it, it's like, you know what, this could be a Targaryen legend. And then when Robert Baratheon rises to power, it could be a legend that was lost.
Yes.
It could be, because once the Targaryens were usurped, it could be something that was lost. And of course, Daenerys and Viserys and her brother Viserys would not be able to realize, it's like, oh, we don't know what the Song of Ice and Fire is. And that And this current king, this Viserys king in House of the Dragon, because his dagger is the dagger that essentially is like the cornerstone to a lot of stuff that happens in Game of Thrones. It's a dagger that the Cutthroat tries to kill Bran with. It's the dagger that Cat uses to accuse Tyrion Lannister, and of course, it's the dagger that Arya uses to kill the Night King to end the song of Ice and Fire. So,
the thing that I like that they haven't confirmed on, but it's been brought up that like that the Targaryens don't just go mad just because of their legacy. It's like of their lineage and like in incest stuff. It's like also them trying to keep this secret, this legacy alive by no matter means. Like they have to take over the world to save the world in a way. Again, it's that shitty like Star Wars EU that the Emperor was actually doing something for good. So like ignoring that, I do like the idea of like the Targaryens feel they have like we are the people in charge of the world and we will rule it however means necessary to save it, driving them mad in the process. I am super into that idea. And if they're able to weave that into the show to make it like more canon, I would love it. I would love it.
I like that too. I also read a theory. I mean, this was years ago, back when Game of Thrones was in its peak, about how all the swords were possibly made of lead, so that's why the kings go mad because of lead poisoning.
Oh, that could be fun.
That's cool.
That is a cool one. That's a real old one, yeah.
Because we talked about the Aegon thing, I need to tell you something that I learned just this moment. Which is that, yes, the show revealed that Jon's name is Aegon Targaryen. The books have not revealed his name. And here's the thing. His half-brother in the books, who they do not detail his existence in the show, so this is why they didn't bother with it. We do know that his half-brother is Aegon, Rhaegar's first son, from a different marriage, not with Lyanna, is Aegon. Okay. So it's unlikely that Jon's name is Aegon Targaryen. A lot of people suspect in the books it will be revealed to be Aemon Targaryen. Oh yeah, which would make more sense thematically for the books. But in the show, it's Aegon. Yeah. An interesting little fact.
Yeah, but still, R plus L equals J.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, now remember that whole chestnut a few years ago?
I do. Back when Game of Thrones was still spicy. Let's see. Do we have any final thoughts going into the time jump, the rest of the Targaryen dynasty season?
I'm excited to see how this plays out. I mean, we're definitely getting into the territory of old. When I say getting into the territory of old Game of Thrones, I mean the shock value, because I haven't read the books. Like I was not expecting a fight to break out at their wedding feast. And also, I was not expecting, and I love how they actually kind of lay out, because when Alicent walks in on the feast wearing that bright green, beautiful emerald dress, and everyone just stops and stares at her, and even Fanny was like, why is everyone, like, this seems like a big moment. And then you finally hear the two guys like, you know what color Hightower burns when they call their banners to war? Green? Yeah.
Well, like, it's a Targaryen wedding, and all the Targaryens are wearing their colors. So if the queen walks in wearing the colors of her old house, that's like a slap in the face.
No, Ryan.
They don't explain that in the show unless people say it.
Ryan, she's wearing the colors of what Hightower burns to call their banners to war.
Green is their house color.
Green is their house color.
They don't burn a green flame, Ben. That's a metaphor he's speaking. It's not an actual green flame like Lord of the Rings green flame. Yeah, it's just wearing the colors of her Hightower house.
They are saying like that is the beacon thing, but they're just trying to get to the sentence of like this is her declaring war, and they're wanting to explain that for the layman's audience. It is just purely her house colors brightly on display in refusal of the Targaryen lineage.
She should be wearing
to be the future.
Yeah, like yellow and black or gold or whatever.
She just should be wearing
the other part of it that's so offensive in that moment is the interruption of his speech.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She could have waited. She came in the middle. She made a big show of it.
Her and Daemon. Like a minute apart. Like, come on, guys. Respect.
But Daemon, like everybody expects that from Daemon.
Yeah.
That's not
not the queen. I am more. I'm not like. I don't need more action. I am perfectly happy with this being, more of a drama. But like, I am excited to get to like, oh, the houses are clashing now. Like the Game of Thrones is on, because like it's all been building to like actual conflict. Like we've had like political conflict, but like when does it, like, who's the first person to strike the blow? To like, no, I do not accept Rhaenyra as my queen, I'm fighting this. I can't wait to see who that person is. Like, who is the instigator for the big clash of
say it's probably Alicent.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's spicy.
It feels like it's set up to be Alicent.
Yeah. I just wonder, God, I wonder if like, is Alicent and Daemon, are they going to team up? Like, I'm so curious, like where 10 years in the future, where everyone's going to line up.
No,
like,
I'm sure Daemon's loyalty is to Rhaenyra and Targaryens.
Yeah.
Like, true Targaryens, which he does not consider Alicent's.
That's true. Yeah.
He will honor Viserys' claim for Rhaenyra to be queen. Mm-hmm. He will honor that. He will believe that 100% should be true because, again, no matter what, he loves his brother. He loves his family.
Yeah, that's true.
He does not consider Alicent's son
so it'll
as
be
important and as truly family.
It'll be all the Targaryens uniting against.
And he hates Otto Hightower, so anything to spurn the Hightowers, he'll be for.
Yeah.
Exciting stuff. Hell yeah. Can't wait. We know season 2 is coming, and what's so cool is like this show is going to last, or however long this show lasts, it's going to go past these characters. We're whether season 2 is also a huge time jump, remains to be seen. But like I'm just so excited that like a show like this gets to exist because we don't get many like this where time jumps are a normal occurrence, and the way they're handling it might not be as perfect as I'd like. But I really admire a show that's feeling like, yo, every episode we're jumping. Yeah. We're trying to get through history. And I find it really cool. I love watching like history come alive in a way.
The only thing I can really think of in comparison is like The Crown.
Yeah.
But even then, like that feels more like the season is locked into what it's doing, and this is jumping episode by episode.
Yeah. Good. Happy, like you said earlier at the beginning of the event, Thrones is back. Happy to be here.
Honestly, now that I think about it, The Crown probably being out there gave them more faith that they'd be able to pull off the time travel of this show.
Matt Smith was also on.
Right.
There you go. Love it. So, any final words for you guys? I'm Thrones out.
Oh no, I cannot tell you how excited I am for next Sunday. For 6 o'clock to hit and the new episode be on HBO Max for me, ready to watch it. I miss this. I miss being excited for Game of Thrones. I miss being excited for my dragon show. I mean, we're getting a whole lot of great fantasy now, thanks to Elden Ring. Like I said, it came out in February. Rings of Power is still really good. I haven't caught up. But House of the Dragon, I think House of the Dragon is like my top things. Like, oh, it's Sunday night. I need to watch House of the Dragon. Whereas it's like, oh yeah, it's like, yeah, Rings of Power is also on, but I really want to watch Rings of Power. But for me, it's like, I want my thrones. I want my dragons.
Yeah, it's definitely a show. There's a bunch of shows that come out like weekly that I don't get to when it comes out. But Game of Thrones is like, I want to watch it as soon as I can because I like being part of the conversation. Because, man, the memes that come out every Sunday are so good. Man, the next day on Twitter, it's so funny. You showed me one with Ben Affleck as Viserys. Like, this is after Viserys, like, every single day. He's, like, smoking a cigarette. Yeah, good. and it's, like, it's doing bigger numbers than Game of Thrones did, which it's just unfathomable to me. Like, more people are watching this than Game of Thrones. So it's, like, I don't remember what I was talking about.
you were going on a great thing, and then suddenly on my side, you just completely froze. I'm like, oh, no. Well, I was like, did Emma step on the computer again?
No, the internet went out because it's Wi-Fi. Gosh, I don't remember where I was going, to be honest.
I'll say because you guys are talking about like how excited you are every week.
Mm-hmm. Right, I want to watch this every time it comes on.
Yeah. I'm enjoying it. I'm definitely enjoying it. I am not in like the good heavy Game of Thrones hype level for myself. Like I don't know that I could say a specific reason.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there is still some amount of like. I don't know, Game of Thrones. You fooled me once.
I'm over that.
No. I'm not saying that's the reason, but I will say like my hype level is not as high.
That's fair. I mean, I know you're enjoying it.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah.
I'm happy. Like, I'm just happy. I'm happy you're here.
Yeah.
So I think that'll do it here.
Yeah. I think that will do it. So we're still gonna be playing Game of Thrones. That's gonna be funny. That's funny. We're playing the Game of Thrones. So we're gonna still play this a little bit by ear. I believe we're probably just gonna do a full season roundup at the end of the season, possibly.
We'll see.
We'll see how spicy it gets.
There's a part of me that feels like maybe what we'll need to do is the next 4 episodes, just like we did these 4 episodes, and then the finale as its own thing.
Yeah.
But we'll kind of see what we're looking at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, but there will be the good news is I can definitely say there will be another Fake Nerds watch of House of the Dragon So it's either going to be like maybe 2 more, but there will be at least 1 more Fake Nerds Watch.
We ain't done yet.
No, we are not, because things are getting really, really spicy, and I'm for it. I'm all for it.
Spice must flow.
Jakars, mother effer.
And then we've got Rings of Power right around the corner.
Whoop whoop.
Look for our conversation soon.
Yep. So this has been Fake Nerds Watch here on the Fake Nerd Podcast YouTube channel. You can definitely, we have a bunch of things. We're still doing She-Hulk at the time of this recording. She-Hulk is still going strong. Do we have anything else going on FNW? I'm not 100% sure.
Andor's
right around the corner.
Oh God, I forgot about Andor. Oh man,
it's the season, baby.
Oh man.
Yeah, but guess what? Here's the thing, Ben. Like, yeah, scheduling's hard, but all the shows we're reviewing right now are like really good because I've heard nothing but good things about Andor. So like, at least we're not watching bad shit. That's all I can be happy about.
At least we're not getting together and going, oh God, why do I watch that TV episode?
Yeah, I'm not in Boba Fett mode right now, so we're okay.
No, we're not.
Oh, what if?
And I enjoyed most of it. Yeah. I enjoyed most of Boba Fett. I did. I will say I enjoyed most of Boba Fett, but then it turned into Mandalorian season 3. I'm like, the show's called The Book of Boba Fett. Keep it with Boba Fett, goddamn it. Yeah, that's here, neither here, there. You can hear we have a bunch of Fake Nerds Watch. Boba Fett's there. Our very first Fake Nerds Watch was season 8, episode 1 of Game of Thrones. So if you want to go back way in the archives, it's there. And yeah, we of course have a bunch of other great shows here. We have the main podcast, the Fake Nerd Podcast, which we stream live on Sunday every night. That's down below. You can check out our website, fakenerdpodcast.com, which has links to everything. Has links to the main show. It has links to Basement Arcade Pause Menu, links to Basement Arcade, has links to past shows of this. All the good stuff is at fakenerdpodcast.com. And of course, if you want to follow us on the socials, you can follow us at Fake Nerd Podcast on like Instagram and Twitter. If you want to get in touch with us, Fake Nerd Guys at gmail.com, because when we first made the account, we had a different name. So sorry. But if you want to get in touch with us personally, I am Ben Magnet27 at Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And Ryan Sparkz, where can they follow you guys?
Ooh, you can find me hoping for the best for Miss Allison Hightower. Well, no, I don't. I don't know why I said that. I don't know who I'm rooting for anymore on this show. But you can find me rooting for somebody at DJ.
Poor Lenore.
Yeah, you can find me I like Lionel Lannister at DJ Tony Snark 616. He seems to be the most humble, nice dude around.
You can find me just being absolutely cunstruck at Sparkz Witty on Instagram and Twitter, SPARKZ Witty.
Hell yeah.
Only on this show can you say that and get wins.
Oh,
wow. All right. So yeah, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and until next time, fire and blood. Stay fake nerds.